MrLuBuFu here with all the spoilers I have not covered yet, and there are quite a few that came out in the past day, because it's spoiler week. The first is Heliod, God of the Sun. So now we finally have the white god, the supposed leader of all the gods, and he's rather disappointing, to be honest. Yeah, he's a 4-mana 5/6 indestructible, that as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, it isn't a creature. But just having other creatures you control have vigilance, and for 4 mana put a 2/1. Yeah, it's a white cleric enchantment creature token, which is, cute. But this is, he's not the best of the gods thus far. I'm just going to go with that. Yeah, he's still going to be insane and limited. I don't think he'll see standard play. Like, even in a blue-white sort of shell, you probably want to do other things with your mana end of turn than just randomly make a 2/1. So, I'm not terribly impressed. We'll see how he plays out. Otherwise, like body or like size for body, he's quite good. Now comes one of my favorite cards spoiled, 100-handed one. So it's a 4-mana 3/5 vigilance, which by itself is not unreasonable. That for 6 has monstrosity 3. And this line of text is just amazing. As long as it's monstrous, it has reach and can block an additional 99 creatures. That is incredible flavor-wise. It's very well designed, and certainly props to Wizards for that one, because this card, while not insanely in constructed at least, it is quite a beating in limited. That's for certain. Here we have Phalanx Leader. So here's our white weenie sort of creature, white for a 1/1, that whenever you cast a spell that targets it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, which can get out of hand pretty fast, but I'm not sure what to think yet. Typically I want my white weenie double white ones to be at least a 2/2. So it's just a matter of whether or not this heroic ability is worth the loss in power and toughness initially. We have God's Willing. So target creature you control gains protection from the color of your choice and scry 1. So, yeah, it's okay. It's a random combat trick. I don't think it's going to be that good in constructed or limited, to be honest. Because it's creature you control, so you can't make their enchantments fall off, so nice. Wingseed Rider, 3-mana 2/2 flyer. That whenever you cast a spell that targets it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This is actually going to be pretty decent and limited, mind you, because, well, we have our 2/3 flyers in Return to Ravnica block, for example, and those are typically 1 colorless, 2 white. This one, with 1 spell, and of course if it's an enchantment or anything casting on a flyer, having it be a 3/3 for 3 flying, that's actually quite powerful. So this card could make ripples in limited. Next we have Vanquish the Foul, a solid removal spell, 6 mana, target creature with power 4 or greater, scry 1. It's not Smite the Monstrous, which was much better than this, but it is removal. It's not the best removal, but it's removal, so we're gonna have to take it. Artisan of Forms is an interesting one. It's 2 mana 1/1, that whenever you cast a spell that targets it, you may have it become a copy of target creature and gain this ability. So you can have this recurring clone effect, which is interesting. This card is arguably better with the new legend rules, just so that way you don't have to just use it to kill another legend, but I have no idea what to think. I don't think it's that good, to be honest. Next is a card that I actually love a lot. 1, because I love the Odyssey, and 2, because I think it might actually be playable. Curse of the Swine. It is a sorcery, not an enchantment curse. That blue X, exile X target creatures. For each creature exiled, its controller puts a 2/2 green boar creature token to the battlefield. And if you have not seen the boar tokens, they are hysterical. They're basically the pigs with the armor, and they look adorable. This card might see play. I'm not sure. Like, the ability to exile creatures does deal with Voice Resurgence, It's not going to have to deal with Undying because Undying rotates out. But this is an interesting one, that's for certain. We have Lost in a Labyrinth. Blue instant, target creature gets -3/-0, scry 1. This is pretty bad in limited, actually. I would not recommend playing it. Omen Speaker is certainly interesting. Typically we like our 2-mana 1/3s that net value, but this is kind of interesting because this one doesn't net direct value. It just lets you scry 2, as opposed to Augur Bolus, which lets you look at the top 3 and get an instant or sorcery, net value, or replaces itself, or Seagate Oracle. So I'm not sure if this will fit the same niche role because it just lets you scry 2 instead of actually get a card back. Thassa's Emissary. Here's a 4-mana 3/3 that has Curiosity, basically, with it. It cantrips if it hits. They can also bestow that if it's enchanting a creature, that creature also gets it. So it's interesting. I'm not sure what to think about it yet. Bestow is an incredibly slow mechanic just because it's always very expensive because it's a very powerful effect. So I'm not sure how it will play out in limited, to be honest. Here we have Wave Crash Triton. It's our 3-mana 1/4, our Horned Turtle with upside. That whenever you cast a spell that targets it, tap target creature, it does not untap. So it's a Horned Turtle. It'll probably see a little bit of play in limited, of course. We have Grey Merchant of Afostel. So it's a 5-mana 2/4 that when it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, and where X is your devotion to black, and then you gain life equal to the life lost this way. So it at least drains them 2 when it comes into play. I'm not sure how relevant the 2/4 body will be. It seems like this format's full of really big creatures, and I'm not sure if he's actually going to be big enough. I think the magic number is 4 toughness, but I still have to look at more cards in the set to be able to confirm that. Yay! So we were on blue. Sealock Monster. So you have a 5-mana 5/5 that can't attack unless defending player controls an island, and it has Monstrosity 3. And if its monster's target land becomes an island, and this is our more famous sort of Kraken, but it's an octopus. This is certainly, like, if you get the monstrous or monstrosity trigger off, this guy is hard to deal with. An 8-mana unblockable, not bad. Now we have red, Stone Shock Giant. So it's a 5-mana 5/4, which by itself isn't unreasonable. It has an 8-mana monstrosity, which again, this is another ability that costs a lot. But when it becomes monsters, creatures without flying can't block. I'm not sure how relevant, like how often you'll get to 8 mana in this format, that's for certain. It seems a lot slower though, because of all those abilities. Titan of Eternal Fire is the Prometheus, basically. The giant that gave, or the Titan that gave fire to humans, and you can tell that because it's a 6-mana 5/6 giant, but each human you control has tap, deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So, quite literally giving the humans fire. Kinda cute. Here we have an interesting card in the fact that there's not often double strike at common. Two-headed Cerberus is a 1/2 with double strike for 3. Putting an enchantment on this guy is just going to be so good. I just don't know if you'll have the ability to do so. Now we're into green. Karametra's Acolyte. It's a 4-mana 1/4, but it taps to add green equal to your devotion to green. So this can ramp you very, very fast if you're in green. I don't think you'll see constructed play because you don't want to play your mana ramp on 4. But this card could do work in limited. Certainly if you're trying to activate, say, Nessian Asp. It's a 5-mana 4/5 with reach. That monstrosity 4 could just make it an 8/9. So having lots of mana is not necessarily a bad thing. Now I have a card I actually missed yesterday, Daxos of Meletis. So it's a 3-mana 2/2, legendary human soldier that can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. And when it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You gain life equal to its mana cost, and until end of turn you may cast that card. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. So if it's a land, you don't get to play it, because it says the word cast. But otherwise, I think it's really interesting. I'm having trouble trying to judge him, or like evaluate him, just because of all of this text. It's so convoluted. I mean, it's quite literally a Night Veil Spectre on steroids. Because here's the evasion clause, and then here's the combat damage, but you also gain life, and you get cast the card. So this is a card that I'd keep my eye on. We have Polis Crusher. So it's a 4-mana 4/4 trample pro enchantments, and if it has monstrosity, which this one only has monstrous 6, so this is on the cheaper side. If you can destroy target enchantment, which I can imagine destroy target enchantment. It's actually not gonna be bad. And lastly, Witch's Eye. This card's terrible, but it's very flavorful. So that's a thing. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Rate, comment, and subscribe.